So clarity, it's worth fighting for, and that's what this video is all about. It's about making that extra effort to reel this code in, as in reeling in a fish on a fishing line and bringing it back to so that it looks almost too simple, so we're ready to add more complexity in the next step. So I just want to explain something to you. Firstly, we're going to end up with a main method that looks as simple as this, and there'll be some improvements further down, which I won't spoil your challenges by showing you. I also want to tell you that if you want to do your own code thing, and you're concerned that, you do the challenge, you do your own code, and then I come along and show you a solution, and if you feel like you have to change your code to match my solution, it's up to you whether you do or don't. If you diverge from my solution and somehow your code stops working, then you can always do the following. You can go to github.com/Unreal course. Okay, even if you're not logged in. In fact, I'm not logged in here. And then you can look for the section. This is section 2, Bull Cow Game. And then what you can do is you can make sure you're on the master branch. It should be the only branch there. And look for this word here, 9 commits. And that means at the time of recording, there are 9 lectures. And there are the lectures in that commit list. Okay, so as a recap, we're at github.com/Unreal course, then the section name commits master. And then if you go to a particular video, say this one here, you can click browse the repository at that point. Now, there's 2 things you can do. You can either just kind of click in and look at the code at that stage, and you can even copy and paste it. Or when you're at this level here and you found the commit that you want, so let's go back another one to here, then you can download zip if you want and replace your whole project. So I just want to explain that that's a possibility for you if you want to do your own code, but if you're concerned rather, you diverge and you can't keep track, well, you can always come and compare against my code or even just download it and pick up from where I left off. So at this stage, if you're a beginner, we've learned just enough to be dangerous. We've just learned about enough things to create a real mess. And a mess we have. Here in the main loop, this is what I call a mess. Now, why is it a mess? It looks simple enough, but the problem with it is it's not at a consistent level of abstraction. Print info is higher level than what's below. Print info is asking you to do several things in one go. This stuff here, which is simple and self-contained, and well explained and has no nasty side effects. It does what it says and nothing else. And we can sit here and look at print info and we can go, yep, I'm happy with that. I don't need to look at the details. I know what it does. That's what we want. Then you come down here and we've got an implementation that's right down at the detail level. Look, we've got things in here, ones and iterators and stuffs, right? And that's all fine and that needs to be somewhere, but we don't want it here. When 1 minute we're thinking about printing a whole introduction section and then we're talking about the details of a loop, it's inconsistent abstraction. So what I want to do firstly is tidy this loop up so that it goes print intro, play the game, and well, that's it for the moment. So this bit here basically represents play game, doesn't it? It plays a single game. So how would we extract this function? Well, we've done this before, but I want to show you Visual Basic's tool, and then I want to show you a nasty side effect, and hence why we won't use its tool for now, and then later on we'll start using the tool again. Because I think that some of you are going to be experimenting and using the tool, so I may as well show you what happens when you do that, and we'll start learning about header files or get our first view of them. Okay, so highlight your code in here, the stuff that actually is responsible for playing the game. You can right-click or do Control and plus, and you've got a quick action here. Inside there, you've got extract function. So if for any reason you don't see that option, go to Tools and Options, bringing up this dialog box, then down to Text Editor, C++, Experimental, and then you want to look under refactoring for enable extract function. Set that to true and say OK. It's quite powerful. It does various checks and things for you. It's done some checks. It thinks it's possible to extract that. And now let's give it a name, play game. And then just hit return. OK. Now the main method has got a lot simpler. Look, print intro, play game, return 0. So I exit the application. We can put that in. OK, let's try. La-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da, and then it exits. Great, it works. Now, it's fantastic. It's done a lot for you. Where's it put play game? It's put the details of play game down here. It's literally cut and pasted our code and written the method name for us and indented it for us. Done a lot of work for us. It's not used quite our formatting, and eventually we'll go into Visual Studio's tool options and change the way that it does hanging braces. But look what else it's done. It has not put a prototype. How come play game is working when it doesn't have a prototype? I said you had to have prototypes. Remember, print info didn't work unless we declared it above. But play game does. How come? Well, it's sneakily created us a main.h header file over here if you look in your Solution Explorer. If you don't see that, go to View, Solution Explorer, and it's simply put in there, void play game. Don't worry about pragma once. It basically says only include this header file once. But void play game It's been put in there. And then remember what I said hash include does? It just does a copy and paste. Well, it's put a hash include in as well, naughty thing. It's put in a hash include main H, and it's made in the main H, and then it's put void play game in there. Okay, that's all fun and cool, and we will be doing that in general, including in this section using header files. It's an integral part of C++. Yes, it's a bit more work, but it does have some benefits, which we'll see later. But for now, we don't want it to do that. So if you do use its extract method like that, I'm just going to, for simplicity, remove the reference to the header file. I'll show you now that it doesn't work. You see it says play game identifier not found. Let's move this function prototype here into, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put the methods or the functions in the order that we use them. Print, intro, play, game, get, guess, and play back. So the logical structure here is we include the libraries we want. We tell it what namespaces to use. And then we go ahead and write all our function prototypes, although later these will all be in a header file. And then we get into our main method. Okay, so I'm actually going to delete main.h. So I don't care whether I save changes to it because I'm going to right click over in the Solution Explorer, remove it and delete it. Okay, we just don't need it. Take control of the program, get it to do what you want it to do. And I'm going to remove some spaces here and put some extra spaces between my methods. So this is really clear now. The main, we find the entry point for the application, we print an intro, play the game and leave. Okay, that is pretty cool. La-di-da-di-da-di-da. Okay, good. So there's one more thing we need to do here, which is we've had this side effect hanging over us for a while. In fact, we've had it hanging over us too long. All right, so you should be a little bit uncomfortable now that I said that get, guess, and print back has a side effect, and the side effect is that it prints here. We declared that it has a side effect immediately that we realized, which is good, but better than that, let's remove the side effect. We don't want a method like this or a function doing two different things. So, of course, that's going to be a challenge for you. I want you to remove the side effect. Rename the get, guess, and print back method. Move the offending code. Test it all still works. And ask yourself, when you look at your code, are you happy, or very happy even, with how your code reads? And why not share it in the discussions if you're pleased with a section of your code? Okay, see you soon. All right, so get, guess, and print back. What's the problem with it is that it prints back. So let's do Control R again. Now it's not letting me rename it there, so I'll go to another instance of it here. Control R. There you go. I don't know why it was being silly. I just did Control R several times until it allowed me to do a rename. I'm going to change it back to get, guess. Great. So inside play game, we go and get the guess. Get, guess. I would rather get, guess was right next to where play game is. So I'm actually going to move play game down as a method. Here, come down to here, so that when I'm in play game, I can see get, guess. It's just easier for me. Now, we don't want to print the guess back there, so we take it out of get, guess. Now, look, suddenly get, guess is good. It's clear. It returns a string, it tells you what it does. You enter your guess, and it uses the getLine method and returns it. Perfect. So inside play game, what does this do? Well, it loops for the number of turns asking for guesses. There's the number of turns. Okay, good. So we get the guess, and then we need to print it back. Now, the only problem here is it's only going to print back if we have a variable. So you could go string guess equals blank. String, remember, you always, when you declare something, you always then initialize it like this, give it a value. And then we could say that guess equals get, guess. Now, what's that about? That is taking the return value from get, guess and putting it into equals. Okay, so we can do it this way, or we can simply short circuit this guess equals nothing, guess equals that, because if we're immediately setting it to the value of get, guess, why not just cut to the chase and just do that? String guess equals get, guess. Okay, so we go get the guess, and then we print it back. I don't think we even need that comment. It's pretty obvious what it's doing here. Ooh. So that's it. So I want to make sure now that I'm very happy with the code, top to bottom. I'm happy with the spacing. I'm happy with the main method particularly because it's really clear what it's doing. I'm very happy that what the intro does. I may put another space between functions here. Make my bracket style consistent all the way through the function, the program rather. So play game, it loops around, it goes and gets the guess, it prints it out. Okay, that's fine. Now, is this a side effect? Not really, because part of playing the game is asking for and giving feedback. Later, we won't just say what your guess was, of course, we'll be counting bulls and cows, but I think that's okay. And I think that all these methods now are clear. Let's just check it works. It's no good having clear code if it doesn't work, by the way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. Game works, code's good, And we are now good to move on and think about the next level in our design. And it's now manageable again. We just got to keep reeling it in every single time, bringing it back to manageable and easy and simple. It should look almost too simple. That's what you need. Because in a minute, we're going to come along and make it more complex again. Okay, see you in a minute.